The biggest problem that we're all facing right now is distraction. There's just so much. Everything is designed to hijack your attention, right? Literally everything.
Welcome back to the My First Business podcast. This is a mini episode where I take some of the best parts of my interviews with phenomenal entrepreneurs and chop it up for you like a snack.
The most essential thing to be a good mentee is to follow up, right? It's to make sure that because in between sessions, right, if you're following up, you're maximizing on the benefit that you can get from that relationship. That's one. In no particular order, I would say that's the first thing, is maximizing the communication to extract as much value as you can. The second would be around being really clear on what the goals are, right? What do you want to achieve, right? What are you optimizing for? So as I said, I have 4 coaches, 2 mentors. Both mentors, I'm working on different goals with each one, right? Based on their background and their experience. I have a mentor who is mentoring me on leadership. He's a phenomenal leader, right? And so all my goals are around developing my leadership, right? So being really clear on the goals allows you to be a great mentee, right? That and following up. And because when you follow up, and the reason I say that is because as a mentor, if my mentee is consistently following up with me, I feel like this is an engaging relationship, right? It's not a once a month, once every 2 months. I'm feeling connected. I'm watching the progress. I'm able to give input, perspective, value offline, which then you can implement and iterate your thinking along the way, right? The one thing. Another thing I would say is to set up a mastermind, right? In your network, you will have people from different walks of life, right? And I would assume none of them are part of a mastermind at the moment, right? So anyone that you would call and say, hey, you know what? I've got this idea. I'd like to form a mastermind. We meet on a monthly basis and there's a very clear agenda, right? This is what we're trying to achieve. Would you be interested? 99% of the time, in my experience, they say yes immediately. And when you bring a group of people together and discuss challenges and opportunities, it opens new dimensions, new portals. And so the power of a mastermind group cannot be overstated enough.
Have you been able to create one yourself?
I have 2 running at the moment.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you qualify people that you want to be in the mastermind? So how do your invites go out? Who do your invites go out to? Are these peers? Are you very careful in having a perfect vision of you fit well into this, you don't fit well into this, I'm not going to invite you?
Yeah.
What is the difference between person who fits the description?
So it depends on the mastermind.
Yeah.
But the most important metric or the most important criteria, I would say, is commitment. You're someone you can see who is constantly learning and growing. I'm generalizing across all industries.
Yeah.
You would look at someone who has that hunger, that thirst to learn. Curiosity, I think, is essential. Because when you bring 7 people together that are all really curious.
Is that the magic number? 7?
7 to 8, I would say, is the right number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah. No, I'd say 7 to 8. You bring 7 to 8 people who are really curious about a specific topic, specific problem. And you start seeing perspectives and it starts opening doors and portals that, and you're able to accelerate your thinking and your growth in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of the vision of people who will not fit, values, I think, is important.
Yeah.
You need to understand everyone's values. That's something I learned in my entrepreneurial journey. It's something I never really asked myself. I wonder what his values are, or I wonder what my principal's values are, my partner's values, or my team, my employees, what are their values? I'm big on values. I think values, spending the time to think about values and understanding the other person's values, saves so much more time later when challenges come up, right? When there's an alignment of values, you're able to work through them a lot quicker.
Your decision making
your decision making, your problem solving, your conflict, right? Everything that comes up in a journey becomes a lot easier. There's no friction, right? There is friction, but it gets unlocked very quickly because there's an alignment in values.
Yeah. And when you compromise your values, your body gives you the signal right away too.
Absolutely.
You start to feel it. Only if you're sure about your values.
Yeah. So. And values is one of those things wherein last week you asked me before we started taping, you asked me about taping. Is that the word?
Recording, taping. Sure,
taping,
taping's cool.
Taping.
Yeah.
Before we started recording, you asked me how my week's been, and I told you it's been a crazy week in a good way.
It's only Monday now.
Sorry, I'm referring to last week.
Sure.
I had an 84-hour week, which I haven't had in a while. Yeah.
I don't stay awake for that long.
Yeah. It was one of those weeks.
Yeah.
And I was doing a series of workshops, and one of the things that kept coming up and something I've been thinking so much about this week is this topic of values. Because when you get in front of people who've been doing business, leadership for a number of years, and you ask them, okay, what are your values? They know they have values, but they've actually never taken the time to write it down. And once they write it down, I always say that there are people who are really productive, people in your network who, for some reason, they're just getting a lot done, right? How is it that he or she gets so much done, while the rest of us are not as productive? But the reality is everyone's got 24 hours, right? But when you probe further and you peel the layers, those people who are getting a lot done, there are two things that they're really clear on. First thing is they're really clear on their values. And the second is their priorities. And everything that comes in, like the modern challenge that we're all facing, the biggest problem that we're all facing right now is distraction. There's just so much, everything is designed to hijack your attention, right? Literally everything. And when you have all these things coming in and when it's going through the filter of values and priorities, you're able to say no a lot easier or a lot quicker.
All right, that's all, folks. I hope you enjoyed that teaser. I think you will love the full episode. I'll leave the links in the description below, or you can head on over to my website. It's nparvez.com. Before you head off, I have just one more question to ask you. Why haven't you subscribed yet?